Hi, I'm Kirsten McLaughlin, Public Affairs Manager for Cox Communications, and this is Community Connection. Today we have Eric Talkin and Bonnie Campbell from the Foodbank of Santa Barbara. Welcome.
Thank you very much,
Kirsten.
Thank you both for being here today. Let's start with telling our viewers a little bit about the Foodbank and everything you do for our community.
Well, Kirsten, the Food Bank is an organization that has existed for over 30 years now, and it's a way in which the community can respond to the community's need to be healthy and well fed. So we all know that people sometimes suffer and they lose a job, or they have a situation where they need some help. So the Food Bank is there to seek out food from all over the western United States, to bring it into Santa Barbara County, to store it safely, and then to distribute it through our own programs and also through a network of 330 member agencies in our county.
Oh, wow. And what is the Food Bank's mission?
Bonnie.
I wanted to add a little something to what Eric just said. Our mission is really simple. We want to end hunger and improve the health of our community. It sounds pretty simple, but it's a big community and poverty is a big problem. And in addition to what Eric was talking about, our over 300 nonprofit partners throughout the county, a common misconception about food banking is that people will go directly to a food bank to receive foods. But no, actually, we have a warehouse in Santa Barbara and one in Santa Maria, and we serve the entire county of Santa Barbara. And the way we do that is with our nonprofit partners. So they order the food from the food bank, and then they distribute it to their clients who are the recipients of that food in whatever manner their programs have, in addition to the food bank programs that we encourage them to adopt for their own services, so that we always have a nutrition educational piece to what is happening with any food that is going out into the community.
So can you tell us a little bit more about some of those partners? Maybe give us some examples.
Sure. Well, we work with a whole range of nonprofits, from very large ones like the Salvation Army or Catholic Charities, right down to very small church distributions where it's just a few volunteers once every couple of weeks distributing some food. So it's really very inspiring for us to see so many different types of agencies and people within the community wanting to get involved in one way or another. But typically we're working with programs and agencies that concentrate on children, or on families, or on seniors, or on families who are in need.
And so tell us a little bit more about the Food Bank's approach to solving hunger in our community. And then you mentioned nutrition education as well. Some of your specific programs.
Sure. Well, I'll talk a little bit about it generally, and then Bonnie can fill in. But basically our idea and our philosophy is that hunger is really masking something else, which is what's called food insecurity, which means that people typically are running out of food towards the end of the month if they have spent all their money on rent or medical bills. And so the food that they're purchasing and eating is very low quality food, and that really affects their health. So we're really primarily interested in improving the health of people in our community, and we're using food as the cheapest and most effective tool of doing that. So all of our programs really focus on what we call food literacy, which is ensuring that people know how to use food. If you're illiterate or enumerate, you go through life with one hand tied behind your back. Well, it's the same thing with food literacy. If you can't open a refrigerator and you see the ingredients there and you don't know what to do with them, then you're at the kind of mercy of fast food and processed food. You don't know what to do. So it is possible to eat well and be healthy without a lot of money, but it needs a lot of skills and a lot of awareness. So that really is a key part of what we're learning and what we're teaching people out there. So Bonnie is our community impact director, and it's her responsibility really to push our programs out into the community and to work with our member agencies to really get them to embrace this healthcare philosophy.
So tell us, Bonnie, a little more about those programs.
Well, we have an entire suite called Feed the Future. And research tells us that the earlier you get to children and teach them food literacy and some nutrition education, especially between 3 to 5, you can get to them before they start going towards sweets and salts becoming their favorite. So through the years, Eric has developed a suite of programs that begin with 3 to 5-year-olds, food literacy in preschool. We call it FLIP. And it's an 8-week curriculum that we do train the trainers. So we can go to preschools or partners who want to adopt this and teach them how to teach the curriculum and then provide the fruit or produce that is the lesson of the day. And we have those through Kids Farmers Market, which is elementary school. We have them through middle school. We call that Teens Love Cooking. We actually put knives in the hands of middle schoolers. That's the first lesson, teach them how to use it because they're going to be cutting up a lot of produce. And all the way through to our seniors programs where we provide them with food and also a little additional on how to grow some food, some seeds in the windowsill. You can have your own tomato plant. So that's the suite of programs. And what I'm looking to do with my team and with the rest of the food bank and our partners is combine our nonprofit partners that have the capacity to adapt these programs and use them themselves. That way, when their clients come for food, they'll be receiving education at the same time, and that'll allow them to reach their own nutritional independence.
So Foodbank recently came out with a hunger study. Can you tell us a little bit about the findings?
Well, every 4 years there's a national study that's done by Feeding America, which is the nationwide network of food banks that looks at food insecurity and hunger issues throughout all 50 states. And basically, in Santa Barbara County, we had our own study that involved all of our partners from agencies and individuals. And what it demonstrated is that there has been a steady increase in need for our services. Obviously, things spiked dramatically in 2008 with the recession, but we've really seen that need not go away as people have come to rely on emergency food provision for part of their regular diet. And those numbers have also crept up. But it's also revealed some very interesting information about the link between food insecurity and a lot of other serious health problems like diabetes, heart problems, and obesity. So our focus really is to say, how can we help people with these problems which are really exacerbated by food insecurity? So, some of the new programs that Bonnie's group works on really are focusing on areas like diabetes.
That's interesting. That's great.
Well, that ties into being part of the health safety net, which food banks typically are not considered part of the health safety net. That's public health department or community clinics. But really, without food banking and their partners, there really is no health safety net. So part of our initiative, our strategic initiative, is to help our community see and understand how we are part of that health safety net and that we can improve chronic disease like diabetes, prevent it from happening with food, and obesity and poverty are linked inexorably. I think everybody pretty much understands that, so that we can enter into that dialogue with stakeholders throughout the county and really make some progress in obesity, diabetic chronic care, and ending hunger, obviously, ultimately.
Right. Well, clearly hunger is a challenge we face as a community year-round, but I know the food bank does a lot around the holidays, and Cox has been fortunate enough in the past couple of years to partner with Food Bank during the holidays. Can you tell us a little bit more about your holiday programs?
Sure. We very much appreciate the partnership of Cox at this time of year. It's a great time of year for food banking because everyone is tucking into their Thanksgiving meal or their Christmas meal, so there's a large awareness about food and also about those who don't have food. So if we're all sitting around with our families, then we realize about those who don't have enough to eat. Our kind of campaign is to have Thanksgiving every day of the year, which could sound like a nightmare to some, but it's really focusing on saying this is a year-round, thing that we need to do because we're trying to improve people's ability to look after themselves with food rather than to be dependent on somebody giving them a turkey at Thanksgiving. So it's really trying to make that shift to how we work with people. And it's challenging in some ways. People are just used to working in a traditional model of providing charity for people. But we're really wanting to help people move beyond that so they can become more empowered and independent themselves.
So how can our viewers get involved with the Food Bank of Santa Barbara?
Well, number one, $1 given to the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County, we can turn that into 8 meals.
Wow.
Think about that just for a second. $1 translates into 8 meals for families who need it. So first and foremost, donations are really the bedrock of our sustainability.
And then obviously people can get involved in volunteering. We have very, very active volunteer organizations, both North and South County. People can help in the warehouse. They can help with the numerous events that we have during the year. we encourage people to be what we call knowledge philanthropists. So they come in and use their expertise that's out in the community and bring it into the food bank and see how we can improve the food bank using their skills. So there's a lot of ways to use both your head and your hands at the food bank. And we really, our whole organization now is based around this approach. Some of the programs that Bonnie has been talking about rely absolutely on volunteers to run all of those programs. So they're going into the schools, they're doing the teaching. So this really is the community's food bank, and that's how we operate.
So as we get close to wrapping up in our final few moments here, what are some of your favorite stories that you've seen come out of the food bank and the partnerships and community you serve?
My favorite story was probably 1 week within having begun here at the food bank. I went to a healthy school pantry, which is like a health fair with the food bank providing food and our volunteers, nutrition advocates providing information. And it was more like a family fair. And I walked in and there was all these women and children and babies in strollers, and who doesn't love a baby in stroller? And everybody was happy and communicating and receiving CalFresh benefits and other kinds of services, wraparound services. And as I sat down to visit with one of the little babies, the sister came over to me and whispered something in her mother's ear, and her mother nodded like that, and she shared her cookies with me. And I was like, it was all I could do not just to cry, because the setting was so empowering and we were all part of making it work for everybody, right down to the children sharing their little cookie.
What a great story. Eric, I'm sure you have one as well. Many.
Many. But I think, I was involved in teaching one of our food literacy in preschool classes in a class that my own daughter was. So there was a bunch of 3-year-olds there. We were creating a smoothie for them out of spinach and kiwi, and these kids were absolutely fascinated. They loved the spinach mixed in with it. They just, accepted it. Very interested in fresh produce. So really, being able to interact with kids and inspire them about how food can be a tool for health in their life, is very gratifying. So that's why our programs are really based on that idea, coming back age after age as they grow to high school level, and really just reminding them how important food is and how food can bring people together in the community.
Oh, that's great. Thank you both so much for being here today. This has been great.
Thank you, Kirsten.
And thank you. Until next time, this is Community Connection.